The Titans have fired head coach Mike Vrabel. The decision was made by owner Amy Struck and general manager Rand Carthen, who's been there for one season. You guys like this move?
I understand it. I get it's a business. You've had 2 straight losing seasons, right? But it's hard for me. It's just like it's hard for me to blame a quarterback when there's no talent around you, right? Or it's hard for me to blame a running back when your offensive line isn't very good and you're not running for a bunch of yards. I don't think the Titans have been good enough to win it. Like, I mean, who are you going to go get? Right? You going to go get Ben Johnson from the Lions? Is that the answer? You're going to go get a coordinator? We'll see. You're going to rebuild the whole thing. Doesn't look like Derrick Henry's coming back, right? If you're gonna blow it up, then I get it. If you're going to totally blow it up, and I've seen it work before. I watched the Braves do it, and it worked, right? They kept Freddie Freeman, but it worked. If you're cleaning the whole house, okay. But I would not expect there to be some huge turnaround, right? Or some renaissance for the Titans for the next 2 to 3 years after firing Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel, there were some problems, right? But after having met Mike Vrabel, kind of knowing guys that played with Mike Vrabel and coached with Mike Vrabel, I think the Titans have a lot more problems. I think they got a personnel problem, right? I'm not going to win the real steel fight if I'm out there fighting just with one of those little rock'em sock'em robots when you're fighting with something from Pacific Rim. It's just not going to work.
So, Blaine, Vrabel's first season was 2018. He's had the benefit of Derrick Henry being on the team every year he's been there. But that year, Marcus Mariota was quarterback. They bring in Ryan Tannehill from the Dolphins. After that, he goes 9-7 each of those first 2 years, even when Tannehill comes in. Then in 2020, they went 11-5. 2021, 12-5. That's when he was coach of the year. And then the last 2 years, 7-10, and now 6-11.
I just think, and we say this on the show a lot, I think 2 things can be true at once. I think Mike Vrabel's a damn good football coach, but I do think it was just time for the Titans and Mike to move on from the situation.
That's a good way to put it.
I think, first of all, Mike Vrabel will get a job somewhere.
Yeah, it's the NFL.
He will be fine. But I think it's time for the Titans, because I think the Titans got their guy in Will Levis. And I think when it comes to a young quarterback, I think if you can bring in an OC to develop him, to make him comfortable throughout the year, to make the life easier for him to get better week in and week out, I think that's what the Titans needed to do. It's a Febreze brothers situation. I think it needed to be a fresh start. And the one thing, the knock that's on Vrabel, and it's always been on Vrabel, is the amount of injuries his football teams get. Like, they are rarely healthy walking into the playoff. I know teams usually aren't, but Mike Vrabel teams are usually the most beat up out of anybody. So Mike's a defensive guy. I mean, that's who he is. I mean, and the Titans have always been solid on defense, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go get the offensive coordinator from the Lions. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they go get a young guy to be head coach who's an offensive mindset person for Will Levis.
Are you taking that job if you're Ben Johnson?
You pay me enough money, I'll take any job.
I think and that's the realest thing I've heard from him all day.
100%.
I hate this for Mike Vrabel because we've gotten to know him now, and I like the guy.
Well, now he can come on the show more.
Now he can come on the show now. So I like that. And it's always more difficult to evaluate head coaches in the NFL than it is in college. In college, you're responsible for everything.
You have way more control.
In the NFL, I don't know what you're responsible for. Are you the guy who wanted to stick by Ryan Tannehill? Are you the guy who wanted to draft Will Levis? I don't know what Vrabel did want to do or didn't want to do. Here's all I know. When they were winning all those games and when he was winning Coach of the Year, the defense was lethal. It was a physical defense. I know you had the benefit of Derrick Henry on the other side. You had a bruiser, and you could have these long, sustained drives. But, you know, even now, you don't see that as much on the defensive side. Some of the injuries are what you're talking about. But I look at the Steelers, who we're going to talk about next, with Mike Tomlin. It's like even when they've gone through quarterback transition or they've had injuries or he didn't get all the personnel he wanted through a general manager, they've always still, like, remained very physical on defense.
Yeah,
so it makes sense, but Mike Vrabel's going to be fine.
God, yeah. It just feels like the Patriots to me.
A lot of people are saying that.
Well, I mean, yeah,
like
he
the
played
Patriots.
there.
He played
there. I think Robert Kraft is
defensive-minded coach.
He's looking at what Dan Campbell's doing over with the Lions. A former player has like galvanized a squad. He's saying maybe I need a former player. Head coach.
Oh, hi there, YouTube. Hope you're having a great day. By the way, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, why don't you grow up, Peter Pan, and go ahead and do that. Turn that notification bell on so you know when we drop content, and get ready. March Madness is just around the corner.